This is just jumping straight into the judgment-free Ask Me Anything episode. A good way to change up the pace and the tone, have it more of a conversation with anyone about anything. No fear of judgment, rejection, needing to be a specialty, needing being a specialist. This is just hopping in, and it can be about fitness. It can be about life. It can be about death. It can be about gummy bears. I don't know, anything, right? So, yeah, let's go in. Let's go in. This is, I'm excited to say this is the first time I've done this format. So, yeah, here we are.
Well, hi, my name is Colin. I have been working with Bill over the last couple episodes, and he pitched the idea of doing this Q&A, and it's sounded intriguing to me because I've just heard about your journey, Bill, and your journey, Dave. Sorry,
all good.
I
good.
just recorded with our good friend Bill.
Yes, and we've done stuff together.
That's right.
So it doesn't help.
No, it doesn't. No, but I've heard so much about your journey, Dave, and it sounds like it's at times a harrowing one, at times an inspirational one. But it sounds like at the very end of the day, you learned a heck of a lot in doing it. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure I could benefit from some of your wisdom vicariously.
Oh, I'm glad you hold me in such esteem, and I'm actually here to do just that, because not only does it help other people, but it helps me stay on it. And that's, I think, the overarching goal for thinking what things are going to be like when I'm in my 70s.
Yeah.
I'd still love to be doing podcasts about fitness, about life, about all of that. So if it helps you out with whatever it is that you're interested in, praise be to God.
Well, I'm honored to be your inaugural Q&A guest. So I guess I would start right off the bat by asking, because I'm new to UVU,
mm-hmm.
Can you neatly kind of summarize your experience? I mean, obviously, yeah. I'm sure that's like asking you to open a whole can of worms, but can you quickly kind of summarize your experience from the beginning to where you are now?
Of course, and I have no problem with that being a can of worms. Just take it one worm at a time.
Sure.
So the first was after I had completed dropping 100 pounds, people asked me, how did I do it? And I was like, I started to break it down. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And their eyes kind of glazed over, and they're just didn't really take it in. And I could just see that on the face. Like, okay, right. Well, are you really interested in how I did it? Or is that just hey, look at the weather here. Oh, look at it's like a standard question when you see someone you haven't seen in a while. Like, right. What's a topical thing to discuss? So with the other people, they were just so taken aback. They wanted to know the game plan since day one. Like, what would motivate anyone to do such a thing? Because it's not like it's 10 pounds, right? It's triple digits. So I said, the only real way to break this down is to have it be an episodic explanation of it. Mm-hmm. But that's only going to last for so long. I probably summarize in 2 episodes how to do it. And so I'm like, why don't I finally do a podcast? Everyone's talking about doing podcasts and that they're easy. So I started doing it, and that's how we are here right now. It's just interviewing people about fitness. And then I can just mention the things that I've been through. Yeah.
Well, so that's the background of UVU.
Yes.
What was in your own just personal journey? Was there a moment where you're like, this is the time? I mean, what was the catalyst for you saying, like, I'm going to start this process and keep it going and be consistent? Like, was there a moment? I mean, and if it's like, too personal, you don't feel like you need to share it. But what was the catalyst for you going like, okay, I'm going to kick this into high gear?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it gets personal, and I'm glad I get to share, because that's actually one of the things I admire most about David Goggins, is how he's very transparent with his mess, and his mess is way worse than my mess, right? So, I mean, I still have mess, but it's not like, I think if I were in his shoes, I wouldn't be sharing to that extent that he shares in his books. So I think it's more of an exercise in vulnerability on my part to start talking about the mess. So I had just broken up with this woman, and my life was turned upside down, and I was led back to have a conversation with her through a mutual friend, and that's when she told me that she's pregnant. And so I already knew that she's most likely telling the truth, and so come to find out, yes, she's very much pregnant. I'm a dad now. All right. Oh, I don't want to be a fat dad.
Right.
I don't want to be out of shape trying to keep up with this little boy or little girl, whatever the gender may be. So I need to get in shape. And at the time I was 335 pounds, and I was consistently going to the gym, but not for any reason. Right? Right. I like lifting weights. So my cardio was complete trash, and I said, that's something that can change. Let me start doing that. Okay, well, how do I do this then? This is a huge elephant. How do you eat an elephant? Right? Just one bite at a time.
So, I mean, and obviously that's going to be a powerful motivator, but that's what it was. You know, you found out that kiddo's on its way.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, it's time. And yeah, I mean, obviously it's pretty hard to play catch, let alone, you know, roll around on the ground with your kid. If if you're going to get winded by literally walking down the hallway.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. So you just mentioned, you know, going to the gym. You were going to the gym when you were in less than desirable shape. I guess now this is a question I guess that kind of pops up in my own routine. I find that sometimes when I encounter my own personal health setbacks, sometimes it can be because I think I'm doing so well that it's bought me an excuse to treat myself like, oh yeah, I'm like a Greek statue,
yes.
Right? So, how do you avoid that? You know, so for instance, you know, the other day I ran like 5 miles, and that's like a decent amount for me. And like afterwards, I was like, oh, well, I just kicked butt at this today. You know, like totally like this can be a cheat day because hey, I just burned 1,000 calories. Like, why not? How do you motivate yourself not to immediately do that after you like hit it hard at the gym? Or, you know, what do you do to like kind of make sure that you don't use your regular workout routine as an excuse to do whatever you want?
Yes. This is the part that most people are not going to like. It's write down the results, everything. How long did it take you to run 5 miles? What's your best time running 5 miles, just in general, your entire life? And then try and beat that. If you want some motivation, look at the average time to complete 5 miles and compare all of that, all those details, and aim to beat that again. And I'd say give yourself a time frame. Say, I want to beat this 1 month from now. I want to beat this time. And then say, this is the time I'm going for. Cool.
So basically you're saying I should be shooting for a goal, and by shooting for that goal, I won't treat any casual or even intense workout as an excuse to just kind of, do whatever I want.
Yes. And I think you're coming from a more specific style of training, because I can just tell you right now, I'd be able to finish 5 miles, but the time would not be pretty. Right. So, if I were to if we were going to go, if you showed me the path, especially if you're running with hills, I'd say, I hope I have nothing else to do this day. Let's do this on a Saturday. Spend the day doing it. But that's actually the thing that I'm, ironically, that I'm working towards, to get back into just going for a 5 mile run and to complete it under an hour. Right.
Yeah. It's harder. I mean, as you know, it's harder than it sounds.
Yeah. But the body is so resilient that unless you do it regularly, that's going to be a huge obstacle to overcome. So yeah, the first thing I'd say the second thing after you see what your time is and how you felt, and you've matched it up with the average time, then specifically train to do that. knowing that's now the goal, right? And so your workouts are going to fall in line because you made that your plan, right?
Okay, that's good advice. Do you now? It sounds like you kind of are old school, which I appreciate, and you just literally have notes and you write stuff down. Do you ever use apps or any kind of fitness trackers or anything like that?
I'm not on it right now. I was using MyFitnessPal, and there was one that came with the digital scale that I bought, but I didn't follow up with it in terms of being regular.
Okay.
So, and then also when I was doing Orange Theory, because my whole family is super into Orange Theory, I would follow their app that records all the details, but I have not kept on it. So yeah, I go as old school as possible, because I try actually not to look at the screen as much, especially when I'm working out. So it's a good practice just to write it down in my own eyes.
So now I guess I'll open up. So I personally, I used to also struggle with weight, and everybody does. I think those who don't would probably be lying. But I found that the scale for me was actually kind of a demotivator, because if I lost any progress, I'm not going to say I would fall into despair, but I would cast doubt about my routine, and that would probably demotivate, obviously, more than motivate. How do you not? But it also sounds like it's really important to track your progress.
Yes.
So how do you weigh those two things? How do you get around that?
Look in the mirror. Don't look at the scale. Look in the mirror. Right. There's so much stuff that's going on underneath the hood, so to speak, that a scale can definitely be demotivating. This in-body scan is what I swear by. So you go to any supplemental gym place, and they'll probably have it, and it tells you everything, right? So I'll even let you see it right now, and that's pretty strict.
So you're handing me a sheet of paper here,
yes,
and it's from a scan from a body composition analysis. Yeah. So it looks like it has your body water, your body mass, and all that. And okay, so it seems like it's mostly a fat analysis. It probably tracks where it is and where you carry it most.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Interesting. So what do you get the most out of something like this?
You'd be able to see with very sniper-like accuracy on what is going down and what's going up. So you'll have skeletal bone mass at the bottom, left arm, right arm.
And I imagine that increases with weightlifting?
Yes.
Okay.
And so in this one, you can see how it's going up, and you see how it starts spiking up like that, because this is taken from when I was taking creatine. Okay. So I was lifting hard and then taking this supplement to help maintain your water weight.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Well, so that actually leads to an interesting question, and I guess, so first of all, it sounds like you're doing a really in-depth analysis. Is there a way to do that kind of easily or on the cheap? Can you get kind of like a subscription to something like that, or do you is that one of those things where you just kind of have to bite the bullet and splurge on it?
The best part about this is free.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's free.
So how often can you do something like this?
Usually, if you go to a place where they're not lenient, they'll say you have to at least buy something here.
Sure.
So get a ready to drink, aka RTD. Grab a ready to drink protein shake, or
that's it. Huh?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. And so it stores your information. That's typically your phone number. Yeah. So if you go to any of these in-body scanners, it'll have your information there. Right?
Got it.
Yeah.
Now I feel like I've done something like this way in the past, where like a personal trainer is scanning me like a wand or something. Is it like the same process, or do you literally like get into a chamber and get scanned like Total Recall or something?
Oh no, sign me up for that one, because I want to go into Total Recall.
Okay.
But no, it's imagine you step onto a scale, but it's one of those scales where you take off your socks. So you stand on that, and then it has the handles too. So you hold onto the handles, and it takes it goes through your whole body through those areas, those points of contact.
Okay, got it. Okay, well that's good. That's great advice. I didn't realize it could be so cost effective.
Yeah.
Well, so you just mentioned supplements, and you were talking about creatine. As I get older, I continue to lift, And I have noticed that obviously recovery is becoming harder as you get older. It's just natural, right? And you mentioned supplements. Do you know of a supplement that's kind of like a go-to supplement? And maybe this isn't your area of expertise, but maybe like a supplement that's kind of a go-to, that's like good for recovery, but like not, not necessarily any kind of steroid or something that's going to make you feel cranked or caffeinated. Something maybe even natural. Maybe there's not. But do you know anything like that?
I'd only recommend protein.
Yeah, just protein.
Just protein.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you like whey, or do you like is there a certain kind?
I swear by whey. So, when it comes to just recovery, it's going to come down to rest, and then what you're eating, and then how you're stretching in between. So whether you get your protein in or not, that's up to you. But the amount of protein you actually need to recover is, no normal person can actually eat that amount of meat in a day. So that's why I say just stick with protein. And doesn't make too much of a difference which one you go with. One is more time released in terms of digestion. So that's why I just say just go with whey.
And as somebody who's primarily focused on weight loss, do you find that protein ever inhibits that at all, or is it always been pretty nominal in terms of like weight gain? I guess in other words, do you ever worry that the protein, like protein powders or protein shakes and stuff like that, hinder weight loss anyway, or maybe the two things are orthogonal because you're putting on muscle weight, right? But does that ever enter into your nutrition plan in any weird way?
It comes down to the cleanest protein that you can get with the least amount of calories.
Okay.
But that you can stomach.
Gotcha.
You don't want to be forcing yourself to eat this thing that is not good, doesn't mix with anything, and then tears up your bowels.
Gotcha.
Right. So yeah, I keep it basic. Just get a chocolate whey, the lowest amount of calories possible to the highest amount of grams of protein in a serving.
Okay, very cool. Good to know. Well, so it sounds like you have kept the emphasis on weightlifting, but obviously you made a big shift towards cardio. Do you is there a kind of a low impact cardio that you prefer? I know a lot of people like swimming, but you're mentioning a specific type of kind of a crossbody machine or something that you were talking about.
Oh man, so I don't have access to that now. That's a, what do they call it? A vestige of the past. Yeah. Where when I was in undergrad, they had the tread climber, which was like a split between an elliptical machine and a treadmill. And they're not at every gym because they break a lot. And there's a weight limit on it. I think it was 275. So if you were, slightly over that, of course, use it, but it wears the motor down faster.
I see.
So it simulates climbing up a mountain, right? And then you can increase the intensity of it, and at its max to do it, I'd say within 5 minutes you'd be sweaty, and then 45 minutes, I'd do it between 45 minutes and for an hour, I'd be drenched in sweat. But it wasn't abnormal. Everyone who was on it, who did it for that long, had, pools of sweat around them. So yeah, if you you can buy one online if you are buying it for the house, but it'd probably be at a higher end gym, but it'd also be sports specific. So I don't know which place that is, but if you find out that place, go get a membership just on that alone. Nice. And then see how it goes.
Well, yeah. So then maybe it sounds like maybe you've already answered my question. But so if I can't do it with the machine, maybe the best organic way to do it is just hiking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The thing that I did for the first 25 pounds was I would just go for a 10-minute walk after every meal. And I then considered snacks a meal too. So whether it was breakfast, lunch, dinner, or a bag of popcorn, I'm going for a 10-minute walk. Right? Just build off of that.
Right.
Wow.
Well, I could see how that would also be a motivator to just not snack, especially if it's like cold and rainy outside,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think the easiest thing out of the gate is to do a new plan on what your schedule allows anyway. So that one is a 10-minute walk. No, you can change up the circuit you do. Just walk for 5 minutes in one direction. When you look down at your watch or your phone, turn around and go back to where you came from, right? You start doing that 3 or 4 times a day, you have 40 minutes of cardio in, 30, 40 minutes of cardio in, no matter what. And then from there it became do that and then also do cardio at the gym. So it was 30 minutes on elliptical machine, excuse me. And it'd be more of like a HIIT training, right?
Right.
So just warm up for 5 minutes.
And that's high intensity interval training?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you crank up the ramp and then go as fast as you can for 30 seconds, right? Do that 6 times, then you're good to go. Just cool down.
What's your rest between those 30 seconds high intensity moments? Like a minute or another 30 seconds?
Yeah, I'd say give it 2 minutes between. Let your heart rate come down low, and then if you can actually gauge it, either take your pulse or use the hand sensors. Try and get down to almost your resting heart rate.
Interesting.
Right, and if that takes more than 2 minutes, do it. Let it go down really low, and then intensity up, sprint, bring it down.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, well, that's good to hear, because I've always heard it based on just some kind of prescriptive like time that you should shoot for, right? It's like, oh, go 40 minutes your hardest, and then it's got to be a minute of rest between. But they never emphasize, as you are here, the focus on the heart rate. So
yes,
it sounds like maybe even that resting period, you're supposed to keep moving, right? But maybe the movement should be less intense than it already is if
absolutely.
I'm not getting there, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The thing, almost across the board, when I'm like, hey, what did you think of gym class when you're in high school, right? Typically, the response is in the negative unless the person was playing sports. And they're like, oh, who cares? It was gym class. But everyone else who was not used to a regimented form of being tested physically typically did not like gym, right? And so, there was that dreaded day. Oh, you're getting tested on the mile. Oh, no. That now is either take it or leave it. Oh, do you like running a mile? Can you run a mile? Well, how do you train to run a mile if you haven't run a mile since high school and you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s? The thing that I say to people is go to a track, find a track, or at least a circuit that you can see very, very much without having to guess.
Right.
And on the straightaway, run as fast as you can. If that means you jog, just jog it. And then on the turns, walk. Just walk. Take your time. Take your time to walk. Straightaway, jog or run, and then do that 4 times, and then see how long it takes you to do. Right? That puts you mentally in the place to complete a mile, knowing that you can do that. And then it also puts you in a place where you can gauge what it feels like given the time constraints. Right. And then just try and beat that the next time you go. And I recommend going 2 days later, do it again. Try and do it 3 times a week, and then build up to 4 times a week.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, well, and an actual track will be a little bit less. It'll be a lower impact, right?
Yes.
Nice. Well, so I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, but
all good.
That's where my brain is fitting. So going back to weightlifting, I want to run by you a routine that I like, but I wonder if there's a way to optimize it. So you mentioned a kind of a push-pull method in your last episode.
Push-pull carry, yeah.
So I've been doing kind of a push-pull core.
Okay.
Just because, I tend to work out at home. And, I'm assuming with carry, that would literally mean kind of lunges, things like that. I don't know. But what should that Well, first of all, what does a push-pull carry routine look like to you? And then maybe I can describe my own, and you can help me tweak it.
Sure. With the carry, imagine you're at LAX and you have your bags and you're bringing the suitcases to get checked in, right? That having your body walk while carrying something heavy in each hand is so good for your body. Core, all around core, hamstrings, lower back. And if you can't carry a suitcase for a distance and then you have aches and pains the next couple of days, that's really a really good thing, because your body's telling you that this is one, a hard workout, and two, you might be compensating in one area over another. So it's better than doing sit-ups. It's better than doing ab machine. This is the full functioning what your abdominal muscles were made for.
Interesting.
Obliques were made for turning at the same time, right? So for the carry portion, I would say find a designated space, track, route, and have something in your hands. It can be 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, or you can actually fill up a suitcase, carry it around. If you have dumbbells, use it. But if you don't have the heavy equipment, it's actually really easy to implement something that's heavy, right? So if you want to go for a 10-minute walk, just keep switching hands. Hold something in your hand that's heavy, and then for 1 minute, and then switch to the other one. Do it that whole time. Right.
So how long would a typical carry weight routine look like, and how do you kind of switch up? Or maybe you don't. Maybe you're just doing 40 minutes of straight carry.
That's the beauty of it, and I put that in as like the wild card in the deck. So if you want to walk around the block, you're going to do your 10-minute walk. Every minute, switch hands with the thing that you're holding that's heavy. Bring a backpack with you, carry it, right? Or if you have a gallon of water, carry that with you. Yeah, it can really be as funky or as creative as you want. But if you're going to be you're going to stick to your P's and Q's for, we'll say, a year. Oh, you know what? This could be your New Year's resolution. Get a dumbbell or a kettlebell, and it doesn't have to be too heavy, like 10 pounds, right? And see how you feel putting that into a walk, and you'll see there's something that hits different in the core just from that upright position of walking, and then still have to stabilize something with another hand, right?
Now, is it important that it is actually a thing, weight, vessel, whatever it is that you're carrying, as opposed to something you're wearing? Because sometimes I see people with like weight vests, and I imagine maybe they serve different functions. But is it important that it be something that you carry in your hands? And if it is, do you know what the difference between like maybe that and a weight vest might be?
So I haven't messed with a vest in ages. So I had in high school, college, what I would do is I have the ankle weights or put them on the wrist, right? But right now, I'd argue for it to be something that's actually functional. But the whole point is that it's resistance. But it's going to be different if you're holding it and carrying it, right? Because that's wrist strength also. And then you'll be able to see in your shoulder and your neck if something is off when you're carrying it. That'd be a little bit different than if it was a weighted vest or a backpack.
Okay, gotcha. Good to know. Well, so then so if I were to just take some 20-pound dumbbells, maybe that's too too ambitious.
How you feel. Yeah,
maybe so if I were just take some 10-pound dumbbells and maybe try to do a 30-minute walk, which might be really tough. But is that a good place to start, or would you say that's like an optimal workout?
Oh, that's optimal.
Oh, I see.
I'd say out of the gate, do it just so you see how it feels, and you're gonna see that it's a world of hurt,
right?
Especially the first time you do it, and you say, "Oh wow!" But if you do that regularly, you will get into shape really fast. Your core strength will go through the roof.
And you find that workout kind of subsumes or supplants your regular gym workout, where you would be doing, as you say, sit-ups or planks or things like this.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely. So it also mimics things that you do in real life.
Mm-hmm.
So the closer you get to the actual activity that becomes progressive overload, the better, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does I'm sure that proper form probably matters in this. So is proper form in this case just being as upright as possible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The natural position of standing up straight and walking, you want to hold that.
Okay.
Right.
Head up, shoulders back.
Head up, shoulders back. Keep your wrists straight, right? And you can tell, especially if you have a dumbbell, if you look in a mirror in the gym or in your bathroom, if it starts to tilt in another direction, you want it to be straight and just working with the gravity.
I see.
Right. Wow.
So essentially, the handles of your whatever you're carrying should be pointed straight.
Yes.
If I didn't have dumbbells or whatever, if I was using like a bucket or something,
yes.
you want those at least pointed.
Yes.
In front, straight.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Because it's not a bicep curl.
Right.
Right. It's not a lateral movement with for shoulders. You want to just have it down at your sides, wrist straight. Yeah. So I would say thumb straight.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, so then let me describe the push and pull, and then you can tell me if there's a way to maybe optimize those. So for me, the push routine is presses, bench presses, basically chest workouts.
Awesome.
Different kinds, sometimes it's just push-ups, sometimes it's with dumbbells, butterfly presses if you can do that. If you have a bench, which I don't, I'd be doing just straight bar bench presses. Sure. But and then the other element of the push is tricep stuff. So tricep extensions, I guess, in different forms, or dips, things like that.
Yeah.
So that's my push, and then my pull is biceps, it's shoulders, it's rowing and back and things like that. Now, does any of that sound correct, or are there ways to optimize those? Maybe
I'd say you don't have to be a stickler about which one. Just know a press is going away from your body and a pull is coming towards your body. And so match those up. So if you do a push exercise, then do a pull. And if you do a pull, do a carry. Right. So just keep those all in balance.
Right. Well, so I have like a push day, a pull day, and then I would have a carry or core day. But are you saying that you implement all of these into one workout every time?
Yes.
So, okay, interesting.
What you're describing, they call it the bro split.
The bro split.
The bro splits.
I like that.
Yeah, bro splits. Yeah.
Is that because it's usually like people that are focused on their beach muscles that are doing that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's also, I think, probably the first way we learn to work out is when we're teenagers, but then it doesn't really shift too much unless you're specifically going for something. So that just happens to be the lingo now. It's like, oh, what's Monday? Bench press, right? Oh, Tuesday, shoulders. Wednesdays, lats. Thursdays, squats, right?
But so you're saying each weight routine, each weightlifting day should be kind of a cross training situation.
Yes, that's just me.
You're doing pushing, pulling, and carrying.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
And that's it sounds like maybe you just observe better results that way.
Absolutely.
Okay. Interesting.
Because one of the things that I was always skipping was core. So I'm like, I got a gut. What's the point of working on this? Right. Of course, I'll squeeze in a couple sit-ups or ab crunch. Right. But it wasn't enough to really keep everything in proportion. So with the push pull carry, it does, and then you feel it the next couple days or at the end of the week. You're like, whoa, look at this! Wow, I'm feeling aches and pains in the best way possible in areas I don't normally feel that pain.
Well, so that leads to an interesting question. What does your recovery look like? How do you balance your weight routine versus your cardio routine? When do you know that you absolutely need like a day of recovery for either one?
It's usually when I have an attitude.
Oh,
right? That's the best way to tell. Yeah. So the first thing is I'll do the cardio first. So mind you, I'm in the gym, so I'll do 30 to 45 minutes elliptical machine, cross training on there. And then I'll go into the actual lifting of weights, whether it be free weights, machines, both, right? It'll be cardio first and then lifting weights. And my preference is actually for lifting weights. But I know for 6 weeks, I'm focusing on cardio in a very specific way. And the way to do that is to do cardio first so I don't push it to the wayside later. Yeah.
And you've found that there's no kind of setbacks, or there's no kind of conflicts between doing the cardio and the weights on the same day. There's no kind of like that doesn't affect your training anyway.
No, I think I've also built up to that to be like the standard for going to the gym. So if someone is going for something very specific, you just customize it to whatever that thing is. But I will always argue that lifting weights is one of the best things someone can do.
Absolutely. Right? Interesting. Well, okay. So, what I guess would you say is oh shoot, hang on. Okay. Well, interesting. So we've talked about cardio and weights. I guess I want to see are there any kind of like alternative ways that you like for working out, or any kind of alternative athletic pursuits that have also helped you? For instance, does yoga help you? You mentioned like a stretching regimen. Are there other things that the common person doesn't think of when they're starting to begin their fitness journey for the first time? Are there other things like that they don't think of that they should be thinking about?
Oh man, yes, absolutely. So there's a couple. One is on the weekends. A lot of times people say this is the break time, right? And I'd say instead of treating it like the break time, do something that's out of that pattern of regularity that is still challenging physically. Oh, so in California, right? Oh, go to Griffith Observatory. See if you can climb all the way from the free parking all the way to the observatory, right? Do volunteer when someone's like, hey, can you help me move? Like, yeah, I'll do it. It's usually, the thing you avoid people with. Right. Test the friendship. Hey, will you help me move? Volunteer to help people.
I think I hear the LA parking police. They're unhappy about the hack that you just told them about Griffith Park, and they're coming for you. It's expensive.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's new. That's a new phenomenon.
I know.
Right. A couple of years ago, it was not $8 an hour.
Yeah. Well, there didn't used to be 20,000 people a day there 8 years ago either. But anyway, but no. Okay. So but you're saying use that break day as an opportunity to kind of break into something active, but not necessarily your routine. So.
Yes. If you are doing the 10-minute walk on Saturday or Sunday, see how far you can walk without regard to time. Now, if you only walk 10 minutes a day, you do the 3 incremental 10-minute walks. See if you can walk for 2 hours. Just go to another part of town, see how far you can go from your house to wherever, and then don't catch a Uber back or a Lyft back. Just walk back. Right?
Well, so, you just mentioned that you gauge when you need a recovery based on like your mood and like if you're feeling grumpy. What does your recovery look like, and how long is it? I mean, do you take just a day to recover? Do you take a couple of days? And like, how do you know when it's time to get back on the horse?
So Sunday is my day of rest. So I try and do as little physical activity as possible, and then go back into it Monday through Saturday. And so this is very specific for a 6-week program, right? So right now, I had finished my 6-week program 2 weeks ago. So this is now my 2nd week off, and now I'm going back in. So I've tapered off, I've recovered, I feel great, and now I can do this again for 6 weeks.
Okay, interesting. Well, so I think maybe you'll notice, I'm tap dancing around like one of the most important aspects of this whole thing, which is nutrition. And I haven't really come prepared with nutrition questions because I'm so interested on the workout thing first. But if we do a part 2 of this, I would like to submit some to you.
Sure.
But just, maybe in concluding for today, do you... I guess maybe I would ask you, what is the hardest thing for people to adjust to in terms of the nutrition game when they're just getting started on this whole journey? And, obviously nobody likes, I'm sure nobody likes the actual default answer, which is just, hey, there needs to be less going in than's going out. Yeah. But I mean, would you say is like the hardest adjustment for people that, when they start this whole process?
I'd actually say the hardest part is getting started and then committing to it. But you have to know how long you're committing into. Is it committing to hit the goal, or is it committing to hitting the goal in a certain amount of time? And there's a huge difference for that, right? So when it comes to the diet, it just has to do with putting up the boundaries on what you're going to eat, and then what you have wiggle room for. So the first thing that I tell people is, what's the thing that you're not willing to give up?
Right.
Is it going to be alcohol? Is it going to be dessert? Is it going to be snacking? Like, choose that one thing and then scale back.
You're saying it's okay to start there and to work on those things that surround that.
Yeah.
So if I decide that I just have to be a dessert guy, it's like, okay, well then maybe you're going to need to cut down on the beer, or you're going to need to cut down on, like maybe a little bit less red meat or whatever it is.
Whatever it is. Okay. Whatever the thing is you're not willing to get rid of, it's going to cost you somewhere else, but you have to have that down. So it's not a free for all.
And is that how you began in your own personal nutrition journey, or did you kind of I realize that there's a lot of like little things that people can do. Like if you're a soda person, you can cut back from 4 sodas a day to maybe 2 or even 1.
Just one. Let's go back.
But and I realize that's a good starting place, but that won't get you over the finish line.
No.
But I mean, going back to you, I mean, it's like what. Is that something that you did? Did you start with like something, hey, I'm not willing to get rid of this? Or is that something you've learned after having done this for a while?
I learned the hard way. Yeah, so that was later. So I went into it saying, all right, I'm seeing all these people who are doing keto, who've done keto, they swear by it. I don't even know what that means. Let me look into it. I did it. I'm like, oh, whoa, this is effective. But any crash diet or total upheaval of what your diet looks like is going to be effective. So I would say you have to gauge what you're capable of and what your life circumstances are for that time period that you want to do it, because it's going to be different if it's an actual lifestyle that you do for your entire life. Right. So I'm at the point of saying, what can I do till the day I die that's not going to make me miserable with life?
Right. Because the juice cleanse is not sustainable.
No, don't do it. No. I actually don't recommend people doing a cleanse like that. No.
I agree, if only because I was suckered into doing one. So I can attest that, as you say, they just kind of make you miserable, and maybe you'll feel good, but it feels like most of that's placebo. I don't know.
Yes. Also, you need to chew. You need to chew food, right? You can't just take liquids in all the time. So I think the biggest thing is saying, what are you not willing to change? And then what are you willing to change? When you know that, it becomes easier for putting it into your daily routine and making it the habit.
Right on. I think that's really sound advice.
Yeah, I actually had a couple more things to add to the beginning of the program for the restrictions. So not just the diet, but then what does the new pattern look like, and for rest and recovery. And one of those things is finding someone who inspires you, whether real or imagined, right? Whether it's an actual friend of yours or someone that you only know on the internet or the big screen, right?
Okay.
And so choosing someone who is a a gold medal winner in whatever event it is, like what's their way of life, right? So I do this thing called the Hero Series, where I talk about someone who I admire and then what they did and what their whole mindset was on it. So for something like running, like long distance running, ever heard of Jim Thorpe?
I don't know if I've heard Jim Thorpe.
Jim Thorpe this had to have been the 1930s, 1940s, right?
Okay.
A Native American guy who shattered records in every sport that he ever touched. And some of them have not been beaten to this day. Right, this guy is super intense. You ever heard of Drunk History? You know the show?
Yeah, definitely.
They have an episode about him, and Jason Momoa plays Jim Thorpe, and it's hilarious. It's
Nice.
super funny, right? Especially since they don't cover up his tattoos, because it's a drunk retelling of Jim Thorpe. But one of those moments of just, I think it's mostly stepping out of what you know and then seeing other people do these incredible things that you wish you could do. You bridge the gap when you get inspired. So I'd say name whatever that goal is, see what this pattern of working out is going to be like, and then find someone who does that to be, upper echelon of that, right?
Well, yeah, you mentioned David Goggins at the beginning of the program, and I don't know much about him, but I do know he's like an ultra marathon guy.
Yes.
Am I wrong?
Oh yeah, he is.
Okay.
So,
and is he a guy that you're looking at right now in that similar vein?
I don't think I'll ever be able to do an episode without somehow tangentially mentioning David Goggins.
Interesting.
Yeah, I definitely look him up. One, a very similar story in terms of being overweight, but then his dream was to be in the military because he wanted the respect, he wanted the direction, and then he wanted to do this thing that it was on such a pedestal that when he was in the gutter of wishing he was more than where he was, he said, "That's it. I want to be a Navy SEAL," right?
It's a lofty goal for sure.
Yes, but he had hit rock bottom, was spraying for cockroaches, public housing, nothing was going well, diet was garbage. He said, this is it, I'm signing up. And the recruiter was like, hey, you're not gonna be able to do this.
Yeah.
Right. One, you're 100 pounds overweight, so you don't even qualify.
Right.
And then two, in the history of the Navy SEALs, only 35 black men have done this. You think you're going to be the 36th?
Interesting.
Get out of here. Like, he didn't say it in like a racist, bigoted way. It was more like, this is not in your favor. I'm here to recruit. You're not the guy. You're not the guy. And so he said, I am the guy, and this is how bad I want it. And so he went on this barely eating. So imagine a plate of food that was one chicken breast, a scoop of rice, and some green beans.
He just made that hard pivot.
He did that for 6 months.
And that's really admirable, but it's probably not super practical, right?
No. Oh, no. So he made that his life.
Gotcha.
So he quit his job banking on him being able to qualify to get in the military. And so he would work out for 2 hours, and then he would study all the entrance exams, and then he'd work out for 2 more hours.
Right.
And then he'd eat that scant fare, and then he would work out again for 2 hours. Then he would stretch and review, and then he'd work out again.
Wow.
He did that for 6 months, and I think it was 140 pounds, like 147 pounds or something
6
like that.
months, huh?
Yeah, gone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I actually have some experience working on the reality show The Biggest Loser, which is not a good place to be taking your examples from, probably. And without breaking any confidentiality agreements, I will just say it seems like you lose the most weight most quickly at the beginning.
Absolutely.
and it's towards the end where it tapers off, and that's where things get really tough.
Yes, yes, and that's the best and the worst reality of either putting on weight because you want muscle or losing fat because you want to trim down.
Right.
And we call them newbie gains. Those are the new beginners have the greatest spike in whatever direction they want to go. And I mentioned it a couple times about if you join a weight loss program at the gym, like, oh, summer fitness, we're doing this for 8-week weight loss challenge, right? Every gym on the face of the planet has something like this at least once a year. Whenever you see the winner, it's always the person, well, I'd say 97% of the time, it's the person who hasn't gone to the gym since gym class in high school and just lost a ton of weight. Like, they went into it willy-nilly. They're like, hey, I want to do this to motivate. I want my life to be better, a better position. This is the challenge I need to have skin in the game. I'm getting in this program. And then how much weight did they lose? They lost 50 pounds, right?
Well, I mean, without being reductive, it's like the person who lost the most is the person who had the most to lose, essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's also like when you look at those bikes, those specialized bikes for Tour de France, right? The more expensive those bikes are, it gives you more of a gain for something, right?
That's very true.
But the bell curve it's huge, and then the higher you get, the tighter it gets because of how specific.
You're in my wheelhouse now, Dave.
Oh,
it's if you go. The biggest upgrade you can do to a bike is going from a steel frame to an aluminum frame, which costs virtually nothing. But then when it gets really expensive, as you suggest, is like going between aluminum frame and a carbon frame, which for most people there's very little difference. But yeah, as you say, when you're at that upper echelon, suddenly having an aluminum shifter versus a titanium shifter, whatever it is, that's where it starts to matter. And following your allegory here, it sounds like that's the same with weight loss.
Yes, absolutely. So those are also the best people to train because they see the change immediately, and then they're inspired. So they have the momentum to go past that.
Right.
Wow.
Well, then I guess maybe this would be the last question I would have is when do you know? When do you know that you have gotten to a healthy place weight-wise, and now it's time to shift focus from pure weight loss to sculpting or whatever you would call that last 20%. When you know that it's time to like shift focus from, I mean, I imagine the answer is just when you're healthy, but maybe that's too simplistic.
I'd say the second you plateau and your workout is either not hard enough or it's too hard, you can't complete it, and you're not making progress. So that's going to be subjective for every person. But the thing I like to do is the actual physical test, right? So the thing that I have as the default is to join one of those weight loss challenges. And I already know I'm not going to win, right? Because I've been doing this so many times that I'd have to do something super extreme.
Right.
Like, no, just
when you're now at a point where you're in much better health, much better shape, and yeah, as you were suggesting a minute ago, there's probably going to be people who are just absolutely in dire shape.
Yes.
And
so it was the second year of doing this, dropping 100 pounds, that I placed fifth. And I think I had to look at the number again, but in the 8 weeks, I lost 17 pounds. So that was that's like the average a year.
Wow.
I'm trying to lose like 25 pounds. I did most of it in 8 weeks, and it was terrible. It was terrible. So that means I didn't even mark for first, second, or third.
Oh, wow.
Right. So that's just the reality of the situation. But the ultimate, and this is going to sound super strange, but I'm going to say it anyway. The test that I have is it's beyond full body. It's to play rugby, right? And I've been playing since I was in high school, but the last couple of years I've not been on a team.
Interesting.
And so one of the things that's great about visiting home, I'm from Philly, is they have annual games, right? You know, they have the Thanksgiving Day game. You can play with the men's team. And so that's my test, is whenever I go home, especially if it's, near in the holidays, I'm gonna run around with the old boys, right, that I used to know, and see how I do, right? And there's no trophy, there's no prize, just to see how long I can stick it out.
Wow. Well, you've chosen the absolute one of the most intense sports you could possibly choose to do that test. But that's, I mean, hey, why not shoot for something ambitious? Right?
Well, here's the secret. I know, especially, I hope they hear this. I know most of them will not be taking it seriously and will probably be hungover anyway. And so it's different when I'm not drinking like that, and then I go into this game that focused and ready to do it. Right? Yeah. So
hey, that's probably a good strategy. That's probably a good strategy for any endeavor. If you're the most clear, if you're the most focused and clear-minded in the room, you've got an advantage.
Absolutely.
Nice.
All right.
Well, Dave, thank you very much. I mean, like I said, I think I could easily do a part 2, just on nutrition alone. But I mean, you've really shared some interesting insights with me.
Oh, I'm glad you liked it. Yeah, I hope it helps. Take it, apply it, use it, and get after those goals, man.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Colin.
Do you want to?
You can play it. So the wrap up is, of course, if you liked it, like it. If you want to share with someone who wants to be motivated, share it. Comment on it. Subscribe. It's the new channel, right? Actually, the letters U, the letter V, the letter U. That's the new RSS feed. You'll see it. If you haven't commented on it, do it, like it, follow, all of that. But we have a very special announcement from Colin about social media.
No. Well, off mic, Dave was saying, hey, throw out your socials where people can find you, but you can't find me, unfortunately. Well, actually, for the best. It has been a real service to my equanimity to be off of most social media, especially in lieu of recent politics, actually, we all know that those things are designed to provoke you anyway. So, if anything, I'm glad that you can't find me anywhere, but I hope to get back in touch with you shortly.
So, this is something that I don't feel gets enough attention, and that's why I said, Colin, you gotta say what you just said, because the years that I was off social media were not only the most challenging years in terms of just personal development, but in terms of peace. There was a peace that was there that was not that's not available if you're on social media and you're looking at inflammatory comments or feel the need you need to correct someone who said something ignorant online, right?
I heard somebody put it in a really interesting way, and it's a lot of people think that they're talking to each other on those services. What they don't realize is they're just talking to the services.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And obviously, people can give you that serotonin hit with a thumbs up or whatever, but at the end of the day, you're not really talking to your friends, your family, your loved ones, your community. You're talking to an algorithm. And when you think of it like that, it starts being a whole lot less sexy to be like, oh, check out this salad I just picked up, or, oh, hey, I'm on vacation in Cabo. It's just like suddenly you're like, why do I need to tell this robot about my vacation? But I guess that's a whole other subject for a whole other podcast.
We'll do that in the part 2.
There you go.
But I guess the concluding thing is not necessarily just to defecate across social media outlets or whatever your preference is, but it's more of seeing the forest for the trees and what you're doing there. And the thing that we don't necessarily are taking into consideration is mental health, especially for the next generation down.
Yeah.
Like people who are committing suicide because they're online bullies.
Sure.
Like that's not something that has ever happened before, right? So, I guess we'll end on that note.
Well, no, I mean, hey, if you're trying to be motivated, what's less motivational than constantly comparing yourself to somebody who you'll probably never meet online.
Yes.
So it's a good place to end it, because frankly, if you can step away from that for a while, that'll probably get you started more than anything else.
And dude, that's actually why it's called you versus you. You be you.
There you go.
Look at yourself. Compare yourself to yourself from the past and where you're at now. That's all you got to see.
Right on. Well, thanks again, Dave.
Thanks, Colin.